Hey, what's going on guys, Ira here, and welcome back to a brand new video on F1 2018 the game. We've got some brand new gameplay, courtesy of a brand new dev diary Codemasters have dropped today. It's going to be the first of 4 dev diaries they're going to be uploading over the course of the coming weeks, I'm guessing. Bit of a throwback, really nice throwback actually, to F1 2010 and 11 days when they used to do these dev diaries very often to show off the game, and now they're bringing them back, and there's some really awesome snippets of gameplay to show you guys today. So in the first of a couple of videos today, we're going to be focusing on, in this video, just the interview portion of the dev diary. So if you're new around here, do get subscribed because there'll be multiple videos going up later today dissecting each little part of the dev diaries, kind of really going deep and trying to give you guys the best kind of overall perspective on what we're seeing from this video. But let's roll the tape and let's see what Lee Mather has to say on the interviews.
I'm Lee Mather and I'm the game director of F1 2018, and I'm here at the moment stood on the Silverstone wing, and soon I'm going to take you downstairs into one of the garages where I'm going to talk about some of the career enhancements that we've made to F1 2018. The big thing this year is very much the media are going to play a huge part in the player's career. It's super important for a driver these days to not just be skilled on track, it's all about being the complete package. In F1 2018 we've got a new media character called Claire, and she will approach you at various points to ask you questions that are relevant to what's going on through the season. And this could relate to multiple things. It could be on contract moves, it could be on performances in races, it could be on your teammate, on other drivers. The player's going to need to really take into consideration how that impacts on not only the morale of the team, so certain departments will feel demotivated, the time and the price or the unreliability of upgrades will increase, but also how other teams in the paddock perceive them. So it may be that a certain team would like to see a driver who's a great sportsman, demure and good in front of the press, doesn't ever rock the boat, doesn't say anything nasty about anybody, even under high pressure situations. Or it may be that you want somebody who's more of a showman. Some teams really want somebody who's got that character, that effervescence, that buzz with the media, and sometimes they may say things a little bit off the cuff that cause a bit of controversy. As you become reputable in the paddock, you will open up different answers which will allow you to really exert your character within the game. And we also wanted to create some new locations as well. So Claire will perform interviews in areas within the back of the paddock, so between the lorries and the trucks, but also in front of the weighbridge and the scrutineering areas. Answering questions to the media will give an instant outcome there and then. If you impact negatively or positively on a department or your relationship with a team, be that your team or another team, you'll be made aware of that. But you've also got to realise, maybe later in the season, these will get pulled up again. And if you've made a promise earlier in the season that you intend to achieve something, that might get pulled up again by the press. You really don't want to make yourself look like an idiot by over-promising, but also you don't want to rubbish people. It's important to maintain a level of professionalism in the game.
So absolutely hype generation there. A lot of nice gameplay they showed off here in the first instance. I'm going to roll through here. I've got the gameplay right in front of me on my keyboard. So if you hear the little clicks, that's my keyboard clicking away. But really, really awesome first scene here. So this is what I was talking about when I made that E3 video. About when you boot up career mode, this is the cutscene you're going to see. Is you're going to be launched into the paddock area. And you're going to be in this front area where you get met with the interviewer. You've got your PR agent on the right, obviously, from F1 2017. But then you've got this new pit lane reporter, Claire, that's going to come out through your entire career to ask you questions throughout the paddock. You know, like I said, different locations. You've got in between the lorries, you've got right in front of the garage, in front of where your car would be, and then also in the weighbridge. And for the first time, you see that new weighbridge location. Really cool that actually the camera then pans and you can see the other drivers, Verstappen, Hamilton there. I think Sebastian also in the background, you know, weighing themselves. Obviously, that's where drivers usually, you see them after quali when they're curious about what the times were, what the gaps were, whilst they're weighing themselves. They just peek over with their, you know, open up the helmet, peek over at the timing stands and see what that is, and also you get some interaction between the drivers. And so really cool that they've modeled that. And just on the note of all these cutscenes, just want to say, by the way, they look stunning. Like I said it before in previous videos, but F1 is always, it's difficult sometimes with sports games in general to really make a graphic step up every single year. But for this year, somehow they've actually managed to do it with that new art director they've got, and you know, I'm sure just a lot of work as well to, you know, really work at it and tweak it. It's just that something about it just has that extra polish that F1 2017 didn't have, and it looks all so sweet. But let's get into the main thing then, these interviews. And for the first time now, you guys can see what I was rambling on about. Like all those videos I made about like how it's going to be, the time pressure, you can now see visually what I was talking about. You got a question there at the top, you got the little circle with the number, and then you got different answers. In the first case, we've got 2 different answers. In the second scenario, there are 3 different answers. answers. And in the scenario I got shown at E3, there were even 5 answers. So you've got a lot of different ways to go about it. Some of them might be negative, some of them might be positive. You can see there in the first example, it's a positive attribute added on for showmanship. So he talks about that. Obviously in the game now for career mode, there will be this aspect of if you are a sportsmanship person or a showmanship kind of guy. And so that will kind of entail how you have a relationship with the team. You know, you might be in a team like Red Bull that loves a showman. And so if you answer questions like that in the first scenario in a way where you're improving your showmanship, that's going to help you out with the team. It might actually boost your R&D, might make things cheaper perhaps, and it's going to basically benefit you to make sure you're thinking about the answers you're going to give. Equally, you could get it wrong. It's a time pressured interview, obviously, and I don't know about you guys, I've never been the best at thinking on the spot straight away when I'm asked a question, so I think I might fluff it up for sure. Let me know in the comments below if you think you're going to be stuffing up in the career mode when it comes out in terms of answers. You could equally piss off your team, or you could even piss off another team, or just not do what you need to in terms of if your team is a showmanship kind of team, but you answer in a very kind of sportsmanship kind of way, it might not gel well, even though that doesn't kind of make sense, because in reality, maybe you do always want to be a sportsmanship, but in the game, it's kind of more of a case of, are you going to be flashy, or are you going to be more reserved and kind of like a PR correct? That's the way I like to think of it. They've given these titles showman and sportsman, but really it's kind of flashy or kind of, you know, sensible PR kind of person. So if you're going to be that sensible person, but your team likes people who are flashy, a driver that's kind of going to be out there and outgoing, it might not sit well with them. Equally, the other way around, if you're like driving for Mercedes, who are very much need a kind of reserved kind of head, you know, Valtteri Bottas style, obviously they have Hamilton, but they have a Valtteri Bottas style character, you know, very reserved, and you're being flashy and arrogant and whatnot, kind of saying things off the cuff in interviews, that's going to piss them off, and so that's going to make R&D points more expensive potentially for you, and later down the line when you're doing contract negotiations, that's not exactly going to fly well with your team if you're going to try and re-sign and maybe vie for a first driver contract rather than you're a second driver or equal driver. But away from how the mechanics actually work, let's just have a look at these kind of questions, because it maybe gives a little bit of insight here. It's just good to kind of see. So the second scenario question was, what are you expecting out of this season? Are you just aiming to find your feet in Formula 1 or perhaps something more? So this is actually the very question I was talking about in my E3 video, when this is basically right after your very first practice session, I think, or maybe after your first qualifying session, Australia, Melbourne, of course, season 1 of career mode. You get asked that, and you have, look at that answer I kind of semi-remembered from my E3 demo. 50 years from now, people will be telling their grandchildren about my rookie season. Like, if you answered that, you're very flashy. That's going to be full-on showmanship. You've got Haas has put a lot of faith in me, and I'm going to bring home the points for them. That's kind of, you know, a real bold statement there that you're going to bring home the points. And then I'll be on track with the best drivers in the world this season. I'm going to find exactly what I'm made of. So that's a bit more of a reserved, maybe half and half, so a bit more of a sportsmanship, because you're kind of complimenting the other drivers. So it's a bit more kind of PR sensible, I guess you could say. And obviously that right one is the flashiest one there. So you have 3 different scenarios in that way, but you're going to get a few more later down the line. As you progress through the season, the interviewer will actually remember your answers. It's not like a one-off, like, okay, I come to Italy and the interviewer Claire has no idea what I answered beforehand, like it might have been beforehand. You know, F1 2017, whatever you did previously in the season on track or whatever, it didn't really affect too much of your latter stage of the season, whereas now this interviewer and the whole interview system is going to remember what you answered. So it's not a case of, oh, you can get away with answering one bad question, because they might bring that up later on in the season. They might remember, or your team will remember, that you've already answered some questions quite poorly. So down the line, you better start kissing their ass if you want to get back in their good book. In that first scenario, you've got things are close between you and Nico Hülkenberg. How do you think things will pan out? So that's more of a question on just your rival. And again, in this year's game, you can choose your rival alongside your teammate. You can actually pick your own rival. So questions for your rival will actually be very, very good as well, because on the left-hand side, you've got a bit more of a half and half sportsman kind of answer. On the right-hand side, definitely more flashy and showmanship. Like, I can definitely do this. I can beat him. I wouldn't enter into the fight. So obviously, we've chosen Nico Hülkenberg as our rival in this scenario then. And so not only will you have to back it up on track, you know, actually beating him, you'll also have to back that up in interviews. So it's almost like, you know, if you're gonna chat honk, you need to back it up on track. And also equally, if you're doing stuff on track, you're gonna have to also answer for it in the interview. So if you don't do so well, I would imagine they're gonna ask you, so how did that go? You got beaten by Nico Hülkenberg. What was that about? And you're gonna have to answer that in a, you know, correct way to try and dodge maybe some of the bullets that are coming your way from Claire. So definitely in this year's game, it seems like it's going to be a lot more accountability, I guess is the word. You're going to be very accountable for what you say and what you do on track. If you're not performing, you're going to get called out on it. You're going to get roasted. And whatever you say, if you don't think about it correctly, that's also going to be really a negative thing for you in your career. So I'm really hyped about this. Obviously, there's other stuff to talk about in the dev diary. So as I said, be sure to get subscribed if you are new around here for those other videos. We're talking through the new contract system and other aspects from the dev diary, but this has just been solely focused on the interview section. But I want to know what you guys think. This is the first time you guys have seen what the interviews look like in a visual way. Obviously, I talked about it in a video a month ago at E3, or just under a month ago, but now you guys actually know what I've been talking about, like with your own two eyes. So let me know, what are you thinking? Do you like what you see? Do you not? Is there something you have a question about that I can maybe answer? Pop it in the comments below, and I will try and answer, obviously, because I did have a hands-on with the game and got talked through it very thoroughly by Lee in person at E3, so I can try and maybe answer any questions you have about the interview system. Again, if you are new around here, do get subscribed. If you did enjoy the video, guys, be sure to smash the like button, and I'll see you guys next time. I'll probably see you in the next video, to be honest, so I'll see you then. Goodbye.